Many people still misunderstand what spirituality really is. Some think it's a series of visible rituals, certain robes, a specific sitting posture, or how often someone lifts their gaze to the sky in devotion. But true spirituality often moves much more quietly, more simply, and far more grounded than people assume. It isn't just something you do at certain moments, it's something you are at every moment. Spirituality lives in the quality of your inner relationship with the source from which all life begins. That connection isn't measured by how many philosophy books you've read or how frequently you participate in religious rituals. Instead, it's measured by how deeply you live your everyday life. It isn't tested when you stand alone on a quiet mountaintop, but when you're in the middle of a noisy marketplace, stuck in traffic that tries your patience, or dealing with someone who doesn't like you. True spirituality is an inner habit that slowly transforms the way you respond to life. And here are 10 habits, which, if they begin to grow within you, even slowly, may be signs that you're walking the path of genuine spiritual connection. First, preferring to give rather than receive. The human ego has a natural instinct to pull everything inward, to accumulate, to keep, and to make sure we have enough. It feels safe to have more. This instinct pushes the mind toward me, mine, and for me. That's why giving is such a radical act. It works against the gravity of the ego, loosens attachment, and opens the door to inner growth. Why would someone prefer giving? Because deep within, they believe they are only a channel, not the source. They trust that the giver of all things will never run out just because we share what has been entrusted to us. They understand that everything they have is only on loan, and a good channel is meant to let things flow, not clog up for personal gain. When you give, your focus shifts from scarcity to a sense of abundance. Holding on tightly often means you're trusting the fear that life won't provide. But when you give, you're declaring your faith that the source is infinitely generous. You discover a strange kind of happiness, one you can't buy, when you see someone's face ease just a little because of something you chose to let go. Many people give in order to get something back, praise, social status, or some kind of reward. That's not spirituality. That's a transaction. True giving is when you give and then forget about it. You give because your heart is already overflowing with blessings, and those blessings need to flow outward rather than settle and stagnate. Second, not complaining much when things don't go your way. A complaint is essentially an inner rejection of reality. When you complain, you're protesting a life scenario that doesn't match the script you wrote in your own mind. You have an idea of how your life should go, and when the divine director chooses a different storyline, you feel angry, disappointed, or drained. Complaining is a subtle form of arrogance. It comes from believing that our plan is better than his. A person whose spirituality is maturing slowly learns the art of surrender. Not surrender as in giving up, but surrender as in acceptance, trust, and letting go. They stop wasting energy asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" You start to understand that failures, delays, and unpleasant situations aren't punishments. They're part of a personalized curriculum designed to shape your soul. You may not like the chapter you're currently living through, but you trust the author of the story. This doesn't mean you're not allowed to feel sad or disappointed. You're human. You're allowed to feel it, let the emotions move through you, but not live in them for too long. You rise again. You keep doing your best, but your heart no longer clings to specific outcomes. You learn to dance with life's rhythm, trusting that whatever seems closed off today might actually be protection or redirection toward a better path. Third, giving praise generously and receiving it with humility. The ego is often stingy with praise. It worries that acknowledging someone else's strengths will make its own light dim. We tend to notice other people's flaws more easily than their strengths, just to feed a false sense of superiority. But offering genuine praise is a sign that you're no longer preoccupied with yourself. You no longer feel threatened by someone else's success. You see the beauty, talent, and goodness shining from others as a reflection of the one who is most beautiful. You're not competing, you're celebrating. Yet the more difficult part is often receiving praise. When someone compliments us, the ego can swell. There's a whisper that says, "Yes, that's me. I'm great. We forget that every good thing in us is on loan. We're just the brush, not the painter. Receiving praise with humility doesn't mean rejecting it dramatically or pretending you don't deserve it. It means accepting it gracefully, thanking the person sincerely, while inwardly returning all credit to the giver of gifts. You accept human appreciation, but your heart bows to the one who allowed those abilities to flow through you. Fourth, above average empathy. In today's world, we're constantly pushed to focus on ourselves, our achievements, our security, our comfort. But empathy is the radical ability to step outside the shell of the ego and try to feel what someone else is feeling. It's not just sympathy, not merely feeling sorry from a distance. Empathy means entering into another person's emotional experience and feeling with them. Empathy is an inner discipline that trains you to pause your judgment. Its spiritual root is an awareness of oneness. You begin to understand that we are all connected, coming from the same source, and returning to Him as well. To hurt someone else at the deepest level is to harm yourself. With this awareness, the way you interact with others begins to shift. When a restaurant server makes a mistake, your first response isn't irritation, but wondering, what kind of day are they having? When someone speaks harshly, you don't rush to retaliate. You try to understand what hidden wounds they might be carrying. Deep empathy also keeps you from staying silent in the face of injustice. But your actions don't come from anger. They come from compassion and a desire to restore what's broken. You become a safe listener. People feel at ease around you because they know your spirit isn't judging them. Fifth, counting your blessings through life's small miracles. Many of us are busy chasing the big things in life. We wait for spectacular moments, big opportunities, major breakthroughs, promotions, windfalls. We get so focused on what we don't have that we forget to notice what's already in our hands. Spirituality teaches the art of shifting that focus. It teaches you to find greatness in the simplest things. You don't need to be wealthy to feel fulfilled, realizing that you can wake up in the morning, breathe without a machine, or see the people you love. These are miracles we often forget to appreciate. You begin to see a glass of water on your table, not as something ordinary, but as the result of a long, perfectly orchestrated journey that brought it to you. You see your child smile as the most magnificent performance you'll witness that day. You start recognizing how carefully the organizer of life tends to every detail of your existence. This habit becomes the foundation of inner peace. Someone who can find miracles in small things isn't easily shaken by big problems. Your heart is already full, and that sense of sufficiency frees you from chasing validation or material possessions to fill an inner void. Sixth, being careful with your words and not quick to judge. A person whose spirituality is growing understands that words carry energy. Every word has weight. Every sentence can build someone up or break their heart. The tongue has no bones, yet its power can crush a spirit. Because of this awareness, you become more mindful of what you say. You begin filtering your speech. Is this true? Is this necessary? And most importantly, is this kind? Judgment is the ego's addiction. When we comment on someone's clothes, the way they speak, or the choices they make, we get an instant hit of superiority. We place ourselves in the judge's seat when that seat was never ours to begin with. A spiritual person realizes they have no real capacity to judge because they are merely a fellow traveler on the same stage of existence. We don't know someone's full story. We don't know what wounds they carry or what struggles they're fighting when no one is watching. For all you know, 10 minutes before you met them, they might have received terrible news. This awareness teaches you to speak less, observe more, and hold back before jumping to conclusions. You replace the urge to judge with the intention to understand. You become too busy tending to your own garden to worry about the yard next door. Seventh, feeling lower than others. This is one of the greatest paradoxes in a spiritual journey. The closer your relationship with the Creator grows, the smaller you feel in front of other human beings. If your spirituality makes you feel holier or superior, something has gone wrong. True humility comes from realizing how little you actually know. You may see yourself as someone who often does good deeds, while someone you consider a sinner seems indifferent. But you don't know their heart. You don't know the quiet prayers they whisper late at night, prayers that might make God love them far more than the deeds you're so proud of. You also don't know the future. Someone you look down on today may end up in an honored position before the Creator later. This awareness of your own unknowing kills spiritual arrogance. You walk with your head bowed, not out of shame, but out of awe for His greatness. You see every human being, even the ones who seem the most flawed, as a teacher and a mirror. You feel empty of self-importance, and because you're empty, you become ready to be filled with His light. Eighth, smiling often. A smile is such a simple physical act, yet it can be a powerful form of social kindness. It's the cheapest form of charity, but its impact can be profound. We often underestimate it, even though a single sincere smile you offer to a stranger might be the only warmth they feel that day. It's easy to smile when life is going well. But can you smile at the janitor, at the taxi driver, at someone who has hurt you? Or even when your own heart is in turmoil? That's where its spiritual strength lies. A genuine smile reflects inner peace. It isn't small talk or politeness, it's an overflow of good energy you want to share freely. In a world full of tension and competition, smiling is a gentle act of resistance. You choose to be a radiator of warmth rather than a sponge for negativity. You become a small oasis that reminds the world goodness still exists. Ninth, easily asking for forgiveness and giving it. The ego is the part of us that hates being seen as wrong. That's why apologizing often feels like stabbing ourselves. It takes real inner courage to say, I was wrong. But someone whose spirituality is maturing is no longer interested in arguing about who's right and who's wrong. Their focus isn't on winning, it's on peace and harmony. Apologizing isn't a sign that you've lost, quite the opposite. It's a sign that you've leveled up. You've moved to a place where your ego is no longer in control. By apologizing, you repair a broken connection, allow the flow of energy to become harmonious again, and keep your soul light. On the other hand, forgiving is the greatest gift you can give yourself. Holding a grudge is like carrying a bag of stones everywhere you go. You're exhausted, but your ego won't let you put it down. It convinces you that holding on to anger is strength, when in reality it's poison you swallow, hoping someone else will suffer. A spiritually refined person knows they are a traveler. Life's journey is long, and they must walk with as little burden as possible. Resentment, hurt, and anger are unnecessary luggage. You forgive not because the other person deserves forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. You release them from the emotional prison inside your heart so you can walk forward unburdened. 10th, saying yes more often to good things. Many of us naturally live in no mode. We reject things before even trying. We protect ourselves behind walls of fear. No, that's too risky. No, I don't have time. No, that's not my responsibility. Saying no feels safe. It protects us from the possibility of failure, but it also closes the door to growth. Saying yes to good things is a sign of deep trust. Yes to helping others. Yes to learning something new. Yes to taking responsibility. This isn't blind optimism. It's a grounded belief that the divine organizer of the universe will not let you walk alone when you take steps toward goodness. When facing challenges, most people only see the wall and ask, why is this so hard? But a spiritually alive person asks, how can I grow from this? What lesson is life offering me right now? This is an active form of surrender. You trust that behind every difficulty there's a larger story unfolding, wisdom waiting to be discovered. You believe that divine planning is always at work, even when you can't see it. By saying yes to life, you open yourself to new experiences, new possibilities, and new directions you may never have planned for. You begin walking with the conviction that every challenge is an invitation to become stronger, wiser, and closer to Him. If these habits are beginning to grow within you, even slowly, even imperfectly, it may be a sign that you're walking on a path of authentic spirituality. A path that isn't loud, isn't full of symbols, but is felt in the way you respond to life. Spirituality isn't about how often you appear religious, but about how soft your heart is, how clear your inner world is, and how aligned your steps are with the source. This journey lasts a lifetime, and none of us ever truly finishes learning. What matters isn't perfection, it's continuing to move, continuing to grow, and continually making space within yourself for a greater light.